And I'll be there. Check it out. Okay, let's see here. More Edward Bernays. Okay, so yeah, when I left off right before that, I said, but campaigning is only an incident in political life. The process of government is continuous, and the expert use of propaganda is more useful and fundamental, although less striking, as an aid to democratic administration than as an aid to vote getting. Good government can be sold to a community just as any other commodity can be sold. I often wonder, I being Edward Bernays, I often wonder whether the politicians of the future who are responsible for maintaining the prestige and effectiveness of their party will not endeavor to train politicians who are at the same time propagandists. I, once again, Edward Bernays, talked recently with George Olvaney. He said that a certain number of Princeton men were joining Tammany Hall. If I were in his place, I should have taken some of my brightest young men and set them to work for Broadway theatrical productions, or apprenticed them as assistants to professional propagandists before recruiting them to the service of the party. One reason, perhaps, why the politician today is slow to take up methods which are a commonplace in business life is that he has such ready entry to the media of communication on which his power depends. The newspaper man looks to him for news, and by his power of giving or withholding information, the politician can effectively censor political news. But being does that sound familiar? Ladies and gentlemen, let me read that sentence again. The newspaper man, once again, it's written in 1928, but it's so true still today. The newspaper man looks to him, that being the politician, for news. And by his power of giving or withholding information, the politician can often effectively censor political news. But being dependent every day of the year and for year after year upon certain politicians for news, the newspaper reporters are obliged to work in harmony with their news sources. The political leader must be a creator of circumstances, not only a creator of circumstances. Can you say false flag terrorism, everybody? The political leader must be a creator of circumstances, not only a creature of mechanical processes of stereotyping and rubber stamping. All right. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Let us suppose that he is campaigning on a low tariff platform. He may use the mechanism of radio to spread his views, but he will almost certainly use the psychological method of approach, which was old in Andrew Jackson's day, and which business has largely discarded. He will say over the radio, "Vote for me and low tariff," because the high tariff increases the cost of the things you buy. He may, it is true, have the great advantage of being able to speak by radio directly to 50 million listeners, but he is making an old-fashioned approach. He is arguing with them. He is assaulting single-handed the resistance of inertia. If he were a propagandist, on the other hand, although he would still use the radio, he would use it as one instrument of a well-planned strategy. Since he is campaigning on the issue of a low tariff, he not merely would tell people that the high tariff increases the cost of the things they buy, but would create circumstances which would make his contention dramatic and self-evident. He would perhaps stage a low tariff exhibition simultaneously in 20 cities, with exhibits illustrating the additional cost due to the tariff in force. Or, let's say the politician wants to, just theoretically speaking, wants to invade Iraq. He may have the Twin Towers blown up and then say it was Muslims. Yeah, and ladies and gentlemen, that reminds me. This is exactly 9 years after the attacks on 9/11 will be tomorrow, and 9 is a number of completion for these guys. They're heavily into numerology. I'm just saying, look out. They want to go to war with Iran as well, so look out for some stupid fucking bullshit. And then they'll blame it on Iran. And then we'll send more of our boys to the meat grinder. He would perhaps stage a low terror. Okay, yeah. Right. He would see that these exhibitions were ceremoniously inaugurated by prominent men and women who were interested in a low tariff, apart from any interest in his personal political fortunes. He would have groups whose interests were especially affected by the high cost of living institute an agitation for lower schedules. He would dramatize the issue, perhaps by having prominent men boycott woolen clothes and go to important functions in cotton suits until the wool schedule was reduced. He might get the opinion of social workers as to whether the high cost of wool endangers the health of the poor in winter. Okay. I was trying to make the connection. What the fuck does wool have to do with tariffs? But yeah, because he's talking about wool that's either A, being brought into this country, or or B, being taken out of this country to sell overseas. Okay, I get it. But in whatever ways he dramatizes the issue, the attention of the public would be attracted to the question before he addressed them personally. Then, when he spoke to his millions of listeners on the radio, he would not be seeking to force an argument down the throats of a public thinking of other things and annoyed by another demand on its attention. On the contrary, he would be answering the spontaneous questions and expressing the emotional demands of a public already keyed to a certain pitch of interest in the subject. The importance of taking the entire world public into consideration before planning an important event is shown by the wise action of Thomas Masaryk, then provisional president, now president of the Republic of Czechoslovakia. Once again, it's 1928. Czechoslovakia officially became a free state on Monday, October 28, 1918, instead of Sunday, October 27, 1918, because Professor Masaryk realized that the people of the world would receive more information and would be more receptive to the announcement of the Republic's freedom on a Monday morning than on a Sunday, because the press would have more space to devote to it on a Monday morning. Starting to get it? Discussing the matter with me before he made the announcement. Oh, surprise, surprise. Bernays is behind this as well. Discussing the matter with me before he made the announcement, Professor Masaryk said, I would be making history for the cables if I changed the date of Czechoslovakia's birth as a free nation. Cables make history, and so the date was changed. Once again, when he says cables, I'm assuming he means, shoot. So freaking archaic. I can't, yeah, the telegraph. I think he's talking about the telegraph. I don't know. The term's a little dated. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, we're going to take a break here, and have to take a break, and I'll be back right after these words. Thanks for joining me tonight, and we'll be back, oh shoot, right after this. We'll be back right after these important words.
goddamn man.
All right. Hey, what's up? How about that? I need an ice cold beer. Oh, I never lied. Yeah, right here. Thank you. Appreciate it.
The senator got a little wild when she was 19. What is the big deal?
Well, let me explain the big deal to you. The people of this nation can stomach quite a bit. The one thing they can't stomach is the image of a vice president with a mouthful of cock.
Wait, you don't have to use the